We put them on.
Oh man, we even buddied up on same shirt.
Oh, I noticed it as soon as you walked in.
Yeah,
I noticed
man.
it as soon as you walked in.
Like we're kicking it old school too. This is like not one of our newer shirts.
It's not.
You know?
We did not match on shorts.
Yeah, we did not. No, we didn't match on even me wearing shorts, nor did I wear.
You have fleece lined pants
I do.
that are gray.
Misconception on the weather today. As soon as I walked to the house, I realized it's going to be 79 at the top.
We interpreted the weather differently.
Hopefully I'm home before it's 79 and I'm changed into shorts. Like misunderstanding.
My legs are sweating thinking about it.
Right. So I told him I was in this like weight loss, but I was trying to actually like do some old school wrestling training. Let's just weight cut this. Yeah. So, all right, guys. So welcome back. So last week, Coach Millie and I talked about a topic that I felt like she was the best person to navigate that topic.
A little better than
a little better than you, a little better than me, probably. But today we actually kind of have another opportunity that it's just Coach Sam and I. Due to some travel schedules and that for Coach Millie. And I think this is a great topic for you to be able to unwrap for us.
It's been one of the more fun and interesting rabbit holes I've gone down in my career because I've been such a weird case study. I've been like of the 12 years I've been training, I've been a very special or different kind of case for 11 of them. Almost 11 of those years I've been a special needs type client.
You're a special butterfly.
And yes, like I've had to attack and see things differently. So this is how I bridge. This is what started me learning how to truly bridge the gap over the course of that time.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about accessory work. And we're going to kind of break that down a little bit. We're going to talk, kind of define it, what we mean by that. But the idea of accessory exercises, but then also understanding where needs or benefits might be in an accessory program. This is something that we, as a gym, being someone who serves a lot of group clients or group perspectives, we've really been able to personalize the experience for our clients through these types of accessory programs. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit of like how we might do that and how this stuff fits. But I always like to consider accessory work is kind of, 80% of what most of us need is very similar.
Yes.
Okay. The accessory work, I believe, really fills in the 20% that is special to each one of us. Absolutely. But so let's just kind of define, accessory programs or accessory work and what that might mean.
Yeah. So like the very broad general accessory work is anything that isn't your game movement.
Okay.
In a sense. So like if you play football, the weight room as a whole is accessory.
Yeah, for sure.
If you participate in CrossFit, like competitive CrossFit, well, some of your more bodybuilding type movements are accessory. They're not movements you're going to see in your competitions, or you're not likely to see.
We're not doing a max load bicep curl.
Yeah, and
we haven't seen it yet.
In a well-programmed, I should say, in a well-programmed CrossFit, they're probably not going to test your dumbbell bench.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean the dumbbell bench has no value to that athlete.
It's an accessory to the development of the overall goal.
And then for me, like a little bit more like less dictionary definition, accessory work should pour gas on the fire you're already building.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, so kind of give some examples of how we build accessory work into our programming. Is we've mentioned this in our heavy days or strength days, and not even just in our strength days we do this, but like typically we have a main focus. We talked about workout intent, things like that. We've talked about that in previous episodes, but say we're doing 5x3 deadlifts in a workout, and that might be the main focus. Accessory exercises to that movement would be, maybe give me a couple of examples like what the accessory exercise might be.
Like exercise selection, or
maybe what an accessory idea would be.
Yeah, so 5x3 deadlift.
Yeah.
So we're heavy. So we're thinking, okay, so it's heavy. So we got a lot of we're taxing the nervous system. It is a hinge. It is very posterior chain dominant. So I'm going to look for for movements that are going to first and foremost balance out the heavy.
Love that.
So I want to choose movements that are going to be effective with lighter loading.
They're going to complement.
Yeah. So right. So I don't need to do then sets of 5 on straight leg deadlifts right after, which are also going to be
non-complementary.
I'm going to look for things that are going to support the hinge movement pattern.
Okay.
So like then from there, now what movements can we that are doing this that are then going to then support your primary muscle groups that are used in that? And for this case, we're going to go super simple and just say hamstrings, glutes, low back.
Yeah.
And that hinge. That is not the full answer, but like just the super simples. So I'm looking for things that are going to check it. How many of those boxes can I check with one movement selection?
Gotcha.
And that's really what I'm going to try to do.
Yeah.
And then I usually try to then get in something that's a little less specific to pair it with.
Yeah. So we do this in a lot of different ways, as you can tell, but like this is kind of the mindset behind how we might build out those things. But it is typically, these are not the main events. These are not the main focus or sport or whatever else it may be in the grand scheme of things.
If you're getting excited about how much weight you're doing on the accessory programming, we're probably not.
It's funny that you say the getting excited thing, because I also consider the accessory work that we do the non-sexy work, right?
It's usually not.
It's just kind of like, it's the mundane, it's the basics, not super enjoyable and fun and exciting, but it's the necessary components to be able to do the main events really well.
Correct. They enable the cool stuff.
Yeah.
They are, again, they're gas on the fire.
Yeah.
You know, like we did 5x3 strict pull-ups this week.
Yes. Yeah.
And part of what we did is before anybody added weight, they needed to demonstrate 2 different levels of control on their sets, you know, before they ever added any weight to kind of earn that adaptation and progression. You know, do we have control with our chin above the bar? Can we hold that position? Now, can I complete sets with controlled concentric and eccentric?
Gotcha.
Once an athlete could do that, then we added weight.
Yeah.
Or we found, oh no, that's the heaviest version that you're going to benefit from today.
Yeah. So we're going to keep you there.
And yeah, is anyone going to go into a CrossFit competition and have, all right, you got a strict pull up, but you're going to have to do 5 seconds chin over the bar every rep?
Yeah.
No, but what happens when you're really strong here? Learning skills like chest to bar, turning over a muscle up, get infinitely easier because you've already taken some of those steps on the base.
So that, they're the basics, they're the small steps in the process. Okay. So how do you want to go about to say, let's talk a little bit about accessory and you know, maybe building those accessory programs, or how do you go about when and we kind of talked to scratch the surface a little bit about how you do it within the CrossFit group setting, right?
Trying to do it for 100 people.
But doing it for, and don't get me wrong, we do evaluate that on a group level, because we track our workouts through an app. Coach is always in tune with that app. Like, you're reading comments, you're reading.
My wife loves it.
You know, getting tons of feedback. That's how he finds out things about his wife. That he's like, hey, I saw you posted this, right?
That's weird.
But
I didn't think that was a 7 out of 10.
Right. So, but when you're working in an individual mode, what are your tactics to go about when you're trying to determine accessory work, an accessory program?
Someone has come. I mean, first and foremost, they've come to me and they've said, hey, I wanted to put a little bit extra work in. I just want it to make sense. I don't want to just do random stuff.
Yeah.
So we sit down, we have a meeting. It's 15 to 30 minutes, depending on who, what, where, when, and why.
Yeah.
And first things first is we got to establish our goals. Like, what makes this program a win for you? Like what are we hoping to achieve out of this? So you're going to hear it again. Once we have an intent, things get a lot easier.
Yeah.
If someone's intent is to add 100 pounds to their deadlift, I probably don't need to program a bunch of bench press.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean the bench press is not valuable, but it's not really going to move the needle for that goal.
Sure.
That doesn't move us closer to that win.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, it's, a little bit of why. So first things first is we got to look at, like, let's just say I really want to improve we're going to say strict overhead press. We're getting ready to start working on those at the gym.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to assess with them in this conversation with a little bit of movement, and, maybe I already know the athlete a little bit, and maybe I already know some of the answers, but I'm looking at motor control. Like, can we control our joints through the range of motion properly? Okay. That's first and foremost. That comes before any sort of mobility or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was listening to this story. Kelly Starrett was telling it, and they had heard him talk on a podcast about people walking with their feet out, and then they realized that their daughter did. And they're like panicking. They had completely misread the situation. And they're like, so they are ready to drop hundreds on Kelly to work with her.
Yeah.
And he's like, He's like, hold on. He's like, hold on, slow down. She's there. And he's like, hey, when you walk, can you put your toes forward? She adjusts her feet. She starts walking with her toes forward. He's like, man, I just saved you a bunch of money.
Yeah, right.
So that's first and foremost. Like, let's just say, like, yeah, someone's having a hard time with the rotation at the top. Well, first off, can they flat out do that?
Right.
Do they have the control there? And once we've kind of maxed out that, and then we start looking at mobility. Maybe we've got it all. Now we've got incomplete range of motion, and that's the issue.
Okay.
Now, regarding which one of those answers, because that's going to be the base of all our movement is motor control and range and access to range of motion.
Right.
We now want to choose movements that are going to put an extra emphasis on that skill. So let's just say somebody is really struggling with the motor control of shoulder stability. That's where maybe a half kneeling, the bottoms up dumbbell press comes in. You have to keep the shoulder very stable. Your balance has to be very good. It strengthens the shoulder. It may find some of the lagging muscles to develop those.
Yeah, definitely.
Why are we lacking the motor control? So then that becomes a good move. Now, with somebody who's struggling with their issue is range of motion, is like they flat out don't have access to that. Well, that movement selection is not near as valuable.
Right.
Now I need to find things that are going to more challenge range of motion.
Yeah.
And like so that's a big piece of that puzzle, is just kind of very much establishing what is the most root cause that has you coming to me to improve. And maybe we find we're in a good spot on both of those.
Right.
And then and then at that point, then we get to get more into the performance piece.
Sure.
But the performance piece is always going to be dampened if we don't take care of that first.
Yeah, you make a really good point there. And I actually was having a conversation with a client of mine that's doing some rehab work with me and in a PT setting. And the motor control thing was something that we discussed. I said, we didn't do anything different to make them not be painful with a push-up. Mm-hmm. The reason that they're painful with a push-up is because they didn't understand the motor control factor of stabilizing the shoulder. Now, granted, could we work on stability strengthening of the shoulder joint things and actually through a half kneeling body?
I would bet money
that's one of those movements. But one of the things that I was able to do is say, well, I can't do push-ups without pain. I said, well, show me a push-up. And I saw the way they're doing push-ups and I was like, oh, well, that's a motor control thing.
He said, now, I can't watch you do that push-up.
Can you do it correct? Like, well, sure, that hurts because you're not doing it correctly. Let's just see if you can do the movement correctly with some cueing and some adjustments to how you're moving through the movement. And as soon as they did that, guess what?
They're relieved.
The shoulder pain wasn't there. It's like, oh, okay. Was there mind-blowing training that went into that or exercise selection? Absolutely not. It's a motor control thing.
Exactly.
And that's a huge one that I find a ton with clients is like, if they struggle with that, is it truly like, can they not get there? Can they truly not do that? Or is it more of an education piece on appropriate firing or whatever else? And then the next thing that you said that I think is extremely important is if those two things are going well, okay, then it becomes like, all right, now I get to work on either the capacity, the strength development, the performance piece.
What is the weak link in the chain?
Right.
Now we're further up the stream. We're further upstream. Yeah. Like maybe, all right, they've got good range of motion, technique. There's no motor control limitation, but this keeps happening. This certain miss keeps happening again. We'll keep going back to the
we had a bug in the air, guys.
We'll keep going back to the overhead press.
Yeah.
Maybe the weak link is triceps. So now we can target that.
Focus on that.
Exactly. So now we've kind of earned our way into filling gaps like that. And now it's focused tricep work. But again, we don't want it to be blind tricep work. Like you can't band tricep extension your way into a 100-pound press PR.
Sure. Yeah.
But like that's the point. Now we get to start identifying that sort of stuff, and we're cooking with gas. Like we're cooking with fire at that.
Yeah, point. I think it's a good point. Like, and it's almost like, in the beginning, you're looking at the very zoomed out, perspective, and you're seeing, okay, what are the global things that we need to assess, right? And then once they pass those pieces, now you can zoom in and start to look at the finite pieces or the little 20%, right? That's really going to move the needle forward, put gas on the fire, as you like to call it, in that next thing, right?
Absolutely.
So where would you justify? Because we obviously have accessory pieces that go into our workouts or our programming, or maybe somebody sits down with us and like you said, like, hell, this is a motor control thing. Hey, you give them a quick accessory thing that's like, hey, I just want you to start doing this, in your warm-ups or whatever.
Yep.
And then where does it come to the piece of like, all right, this justifies more of an accessory program, And is there any differences or changes to how that would go about? Or
It becomes more goal dependent.
okay.
Basically, do you have a desire, time, and ability to recover?
Yeah.
If those three things are there, then there's no reason we shouldn't.
Yeah.
If those three things aren't there, maybe the best return on investment is getting those three things at that point. And then we add more, like I talked about in a previous episode where we talked about moving into like adding competitive volume.
Yeah, volume and intensity.
Where I start off with adding three sled drag sessions.
Sure.
And as those become easy, those become more comfortable, we start peeling those back and replacing those three very low impact sessions with higher impact sessions.
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing. So like I said, like I said, for the most part, it's, do you have a desire to do it? Do you have the time to do it? And do you have the ability to recover? Or are you willing to do the things to recover from the extra training? Because we get better by recovering, not by training.
Yeah.
So that's really, I mean, to me, it's a pretty low barrier. I don't care if you're trying to compete or not. You're just sitting there like, this is fun. I enjoy this. I like learning about my body. Like I'm that guy. I enjoy learning about these things. So, I mean, at that point, again, we're back to goals. So yeah, super simple. Again, not the sexiest answer, but like,
no, but you're right. And I think, I always find that, so we sit down for these goal reviews with clients, and in our group sessions, we do it on a quarterly basis. In our PT clients, like sometimes we're having these conversations on a weekly basis, it seems like, because we're just more one-on-one with those clients. But I find the couple of things, like specificity is a big thing, like for me. So where an accessory program for me would be justified is if someone has a truly specific event, right? So I'll do accessory programs for a marathon.
Oh,
so I have a client that wants to do marathon training, and it's like, okay, well, you're coming to CrossFit and you're doing that stuff, but you have a very specific separate goal, then the general training will not, meet the needs for. Where I find that I have a disconnect is the client that doesn't have a very specific goal, or maybe they think they have a specific goal, but it's just like, well, I just want to get better at this stuff. And maybe they're only 3 months in and they're showing up to class 3 days a week. And it's like, well, you just actually need to be here more.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
that's where an accessory program, like, no, you just need to do the program.
Yeah, where are we adding?
Yeah, like the adding more would be adding your classes or your more frequency in the gym, not through specific work.
Yeah, and the only real exception to that is whenever it's truly scheduled. It's not
absolutely
like they have a desire to be here 5 days a week, but the reality of their life says 3.
Yeah.
But like, hey, I can hit a garage session. I'm willing to do a kettlebell.
Is there anything
session.
extra I can do when I can't?
Yeah. Or we've had people that we program for their gym on base.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you and I have both written programs, just 2 workouts a week that they can do. Oh, I can't get to the CrossFit gym. I'm going to do this at the base gym.
Right. Yeah.
Because we live 15 minutes from Scott Air Force Base.
Right. Sometimes it's easier to be able to walk across base and get that in versus getting here.
Correct. So that means for me, again, that's just another strategy for success.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that's them just like trying to be like, hey, I've got a plan. It allows them to not have to think about it. Allows it. The whole point is to just be able to walk up, to just go, and so you can go home. They've already got the plan in place. They've got, they know that they're gonna, I'm gonna check in with them. We're gonna talk about it, and then so they're gonna, I make sure that people understand it to the level that they want to understand it. And then, like I said, then it becomes a good strategy for success.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head on a few things. And one thing I would stress is like to the viewer or the listener out there.
That's right. Both of you,
both of you. We have 2 of you.
But both people watching us sit in the room instead of us listening.
One of the things that I think is so important is that if anything, this has given us a little bit of opportunity to kind of like peel back the curtain into your brain when you think about these types of programs. Same thing for me. That being said, if you're someone out there that's like maybe you're doing an exercise program, maybe you're in our group classes, like, I don't know, and maybe you have seen people doing extra work, but you're like, I don't know, maybe they're going on Pinterest and grabbing that or whatever else. Like, this is the severity of like, this stuff needs to be personal. It needs to be structured, and it's so worth it.
Plain and simple. If it's worth spending the time, which in my mind is the far more valuable resource than the money, then it's definitely worth getting some,
actually doing the right stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and I've had, I was talking to a friend, and I love this idea. Maybe they don't necessarily, he's like, this is something I did for, I just started doing it for some of my people that like, they didn't have the money to pay for me to be an ongoing coach for them. But they pay me once a month, and we sit down for an hour and we work together on their program for the next month.
Yeah.
Like that's another option, again, just so, so again, so it's some of my time, but again, it allows them to, again, save some money,
Sure.
but they're still getting guidance, and it's still, again,
Right.
it's not random. It's not just like, ooh, that looked neat.
Yeah.
That looked neat becomes a really hard habit to break.
Yeah. And well, and you're going to wind up like, the big thing here is for us is like, if it's not the right work for you, that's all that's going to do is that could really lead down the path of injury, overtraining,
and just flat out just not seeing, there's no goal or intent being established with the decision making.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you feel like you want to share on the accessory stuff? I mean, I feel like we've hit a lot, but
yeah, I mean, like the reality is there's just a lot to be gained by, again, a little bit of specific work. And if you're sitting there, you're like, man, I mean, I've had, again, I've done, I started the accessory program here.
Yeah.
However many years ago, it definitely predated it was whenever we got Train Heroic, I think.
Yeah, probably about.
Because I doubt I did it before. I doubt I don't think I ever sent out spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we did either. But like, I've been doing this for a long time. I've written an accessory program. I mean, you just have I've had people just like, this lift is really interesting to me, and I'd like to do it on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we do that to support it. And I write the supporting program for it. And again, there's really nothing that a program like this can't take care of.
No.
So if you're sitting there and thinking like, I want to figure out how do I solve a problem, get a hold of us, let us know, and we can, and like I said, and then we can help you figure out how to solve that problem. And that's really what accessory work should be. It's problem solving. It's
really allowed us to, what I really stress about is it's really allowed us to personalize the group experience.
Yes.
And it's because, we've said it before, our group CrossFit model is very generalized fitness. It's general physical preparedness. It is constantly varied programming. It is meant to make you a generalist. It's meant to make you healthy and fit long-term in a lot of different areas in your life. But with accessory programming, when someone has a special goal or a special desire, well, that's not something that we're going to, smash into group programming that maybe 10 other people in the class don't have that specific goal, that specific desire. So it's allowed us to actually continue to keep clients happy and progressing towards their goals long-term as their goals have changed, their programs have changed, even though CrossFit may continue to very much be a piece of their puzzle. The accessory work that we've done has allowed them to tackle these specific goals that they might have had over the years as they train with us. Yeah, it's awesome because then you also become a more educated athlete. Sure. I use Coach Allie as an example. Before she was a coach, she did a lot of accessory programming with us. She was very involved in the conversation, and she learned a ton about what she now does professionally. Which is coaching. Yeah. She learned a ton by going and getting the coaching. Yeah. It's funny. I made her the last time she met with me for a goal review, because again, our coaches even do goal reviews with other coaches. She wanted a lower body accessory program, I believe, and I made her program it. I was like, I did the same thing. It's time to do this now. But again, she was able to fall back on a lot of the knowledge and accessory work she had done in the past as an athlete as she came into a coach. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing with Alyssa when she came. She's like, I really want to get better at toast bar. I was like, well, then we will put this together. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. So big thing here is this is prime time. I know you had some new knowledge and you kind of were wrapping your head around, which was really awesome for you to talk about through. But also, this is a prime time because as a client of ours, a lot of our clients are hitting this fourth quarter phase where in the month of October, we're doing a ton of goal reviews and evaluating things. So if you're a client of ours and you sit down with your client success coach, and the thing I always ask is if there's a specific goal that you want to get to, some of you might just get to that goal very easily by just continuing to come to class, right? There may not be a desire or a necessity for an accessory program, but I always tell somebody, but if you want to get there faster, if there's more work you want to do and you have the time and the recovery ability to do that, and you're kind of maximizing what you're doing in your group classes, ask your coach about accessory programs. And sometimes that might even be that coach writing that program, depending on what the goal is, because we work kind of as a team here. And so it's I got to be honest, if somebody says, hey, I'd like to do a deadlift program, I got to be like, hey, that's awesome. I'm going to have Coach Sam write that for you. And he's going to work with you on that because
I have pulled a lot of weight this
because
year.
I feel best that he's the most knowledgeable in that. And the same flip of that, if
I'm
Coach said,
I'm not gonna write a marathon program.
correct. And he's going to go, you need to go talk to
I
Coach
have
Josh on the race programming. Yeah.
In fact, whenever people talk to me about it, I work them towards
Yeah.
it.
So it really is. But if you're a client of ours and these are things that you have an interest in, this is how you begin to personalize some of your fitness goals within the group experience. And it's really all around that 20%, that accessory work that we do. So, Coach, really appreciate you spending some time with us today talking about this. Coach Millie and Coach Sam and I might all be back next week. I don't know. I might step out. We'll see.
I appreciate
but we'll see what happens there.
The non-committal.
Yeah. Again, if you're interested in anything else around getting started with our gym, finding out more about programs, accessory programs, personal training programs, whatever it may be, on our blog post right here on this page, you can click the Start Now button. That'll take you to giving us some information. You can set up a free consult with us to talk more about these things. In addition to that, we do have a couple of upcoming events I want to kind of highlight. One is a specialty course that we're going to be offering starting in October. It's a weightlifting course focusing on the Olympic lifts like the snatch and the clean and jerk. It's going to be hosted by one of our newer coaches, Caleb Galbraith, and he's an Olympic lifter actually, and he does training actually with Coach Sam. So years. The knowledge now that he's had and the passion he has around fitness has turned him into a coach, and now he's actually going to be running some coaching. So we've got that coming up towards the end of the month. That's a 12-week program. If you have more interest, I think we only have 2 or 3 spots left in that group, but a great way to kind of accessorize your other programming that you're doing. The other thing we have coming up now, we partnered with a local organization, the Pink Ribbon Ladies, Pink Ribbon Girls, Pink Ribbon Girls, not ladies.
Every time I say
girls.
it, I feel like I'm saying the wrong thing.
I know, I did the same thing.
A lot better now.
But this organization, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the month of October, and so we partnered with a local organization to raise money towards that. And we've got some information coming out around that. We're going to put some links to sign up. We have actually a public workout that we have that'll be very beginner friendly and new person welcoming that is all geared around raising money for that. We're also selling shirts towards that goal as well. And so we're going to put some links into our show notes and into our blog posts around that. But we've got 2 really good things coming up this month. Coach, thanks again. We'll be back next week and we'll talk some more with you guys, to our 2 viewers on the topics.
I don't know how many listeners we have. I'm just kidding.
I think we have a half a listener. Yeah, just one. So, or half of one. I think my wife listens to half the episode and then probably shuts it off.
There you go.
But yeah. So anyways, thanks guys. We'll see you next week.